Hello and welcome back, historians, to another episode of History Hub. I'm your host, Anne Sylvie Jean Lewis, and let's get right into today's topic. Okay, today we are going to be talking about American history. So we're gonna go back in time and get ready to talk. So there are a couple key elements, artifacts, and documents that you should definitely be familiar with and know about America in order to really understand America at its height now, to understand how America got to how it is today. We are going to start with one very important American document that is pretty much the rubric for the Constitution, and that is the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation are important for many reasons, but especially because it marks the official formation of the American Union. It is basically the predecessor of the American Constitution as we know it today. It highlights the Founding Fathers' hopes and dreams for America, along with the issues that they had with Britain, especially as it's written in a way that would give the central government not much power. And this was done because of the fear of having a large power in charge after their experience with Great Britain. It is also very important for what it fails to address. It never directly comments on slavery, so its lack of mentioning it makes way for slavery to remain an institution for many, many years in America. While it is later changed into the Constitution as we know it today, this document is still very important. Here we have a direct quote from the Articles of Confederation, highlighting the Founding Fathers' hopes: to enter into a firm league of friendship with each other for their common defense, the security of their liberties, and their mutual and general welfare, in reference to the different states coming together to form the Articles of Confederation. Next, we are going to talk about one of the most American artifacts, the train. This innovation is arguably one of the most important in American history, as it paves the way for a lot of innovation within America. The train is arguably one of the most important American innovations, as it led to different monopolies, the ability to transport goods from one state to another, and just for people to travel in a way that they had never seen before. And this makes way for more inventions to be spread across the nation, for more technological advancements, and other very important factors of American history. Especially going back to monopolies, it was one of the biggest monopolies of its time, and is a prime example of when a big business takes over smaller businesses in the area. And train owners would charge more to smaller farmers, so they would have to pay more, versus the bigger farmers because they were able to transport more goods, thus giving more money to the train companies as they paid for all of the transport. As America is a capitalist state, this is a very important factor of the trains. However, even though this is more on the negative side, it did also have many positive impacts. The next important American artifact that we will be speaking about today is Norman Rockwell's famous 1963 painting, The Problem We All Live With. This painting showcases a black child, Ruby Bridges, being escorted to a white New Orleans school by federal marshals. This famous painting highlights the civil rights movement and the African American struggle, showing that even though many of these issues are still prevalent, America is taking steps in the right direction. Ruby Bridges was one of the first black students to be able to attend an all-white institution. So this painting highlights a really pivotal moment in American history, and that is the beginning of the desegregation of schools and workplaces. Desegregation happened in elementary schools, then middle schools, then high schools, then colleges, and eventually this painting was used again as a symbol during the civil rights movement. So it is a very pivotal piece of American history. Next, we're going to talk about a very important person in American history, and that person is President Abraham Lincoln. President Lincoln is one of the most famous American presidents in history. Honest Abe, as he is often referred to as, was POTUS during the Civil War, passed the Emancipation Proclamation, and was a role model of the direction America would veer to from that moment forward, a direction without slavery, and that paved the way for the later civil rights movement and modern-day America. While he was still president during the Civil War and was there for its end, and was making headway on steps towards the reformation of the Union, he was sadly assassinated before he could see it take full effect. The next and final topic we will be speaking about today is the American Civil War. This war highlighted many of the This war highlighted many of the underlying issues within America, such as slavery and many differences between the North and South. This war began after the first state seceded from the Union and lasted from 1861 to 1865. While many still debate the true cause of the Civil War, one thing is very clear. This event was very pivotal for the lives of African Americans. It was during this war that the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, which made the Emancipation Proclamation, as well as the many pieces of legislature passed during the Union, led to African Americans receiving some of the rights that were necessary. This event was also pivotal for America as a whole, as it led to the South This event was also beneficial to America as a whole, as it led the South to be forced to This event was also very important as a whole, as it to come up with a new economic system that would be more stable than slavery, as it was no longer so dependent on slavery. This event is also very pivotal for American society as a whole because it forced the South to come up with an economic system that wasn't so dependent on slavery. And while servitude, mainly by African Americans, still prevailed for years after, it was later as in the South became aware of the issue and took the steps to remove it. And while servitude prevailed for years after, while servitude still prevailed for years after, involving African Americans, with the help of Northern abolition legislature and African Americans fighting for their rights, the proper steps were taken to the proper steps were finally taken to give African Americans civil rights. While this war resulted in much bloodshed, American lives lost, without it, America wouldn't be the nation it is today. Thank you for watching another episode of History Hub. I'm your host, Anne Sylvie Jean Lewis. Bye, historians!